You're carrying weight you don't even realize. Old mistakes, failed relationships, that thing someone said to you 3 years ago that still keeps you up at night. Here's the uncomfortable truth. You're gripping these things so tightly that your hands hurt, even though holding on is exactly what's destroying you. Think about this. Right now, in this moment, you could choose to let go, but you won't, because letting go feels like loss, like failure, like betraying yourself. But what if I told you that release is actually the door to freedom? In the next 15 minutes, you'll learn powerful psychological strategies to finally let go of what's holding you back. These aren't generic think positive tips. These are deep insights from behavioral psychology about how your mind actually works and how to break free from the patterns keeping you stuck. Let's dive in. Chapter 1: The Control Paradox. Most people waste their entire lives trying to control things they can't control. Your reputation, other people's opinions, whether you get that promotion, the weather, your exam questions. And this obsession with controlling the uncontrollable is literally destroying your mental health. Here's the ancient Stoic secret that changes everything: the dichotomy of control. There are only 2 categories in life: things you control and things you don't. That's it. Your thoughts, you control them. Your effort, you control it. Your reactions, yours. But other people's feelings, not yours. Major life events, not yours. The outcome of that job interview, not yours. But I prepared so hard for that interview. Exactly. You controlled the preparation. That's your part. Whether they hire you, that's not your problem. You do what you can, then you let it go. Meet John, extreme control freak. Everything in his life had to be perfect: his house, his business, his relationships. Then he met Olivia, someone who embraced chaos. John faced a choice: control everything and lose her, or let go of some control and let his life thrive. He chose to focus only on what he could control: being present, accepting, empathetic, loyal. Everything else, he let it go, and his life transformed. Here's your practice. When something bothers you, ask one simple question: is this under my control? If the answer is no, it's not your problem. If it's partially, do your best with your part and release the rest. This isn't resignation. This is clarity. This is freedom. Chapter 2: The Voice That's Destroying You. Right now, there's a voice in your head. It's telling you you're not good enough, that you always mess things up, that you should be ashamed of that mistake from 5 years ago. That voice, it's your inner critic, and it's been running your life. This voice triggers shame. Shame triggers anxiety. Anxiety triggers avoidance, and avoidance keeps you stuck. You procrastinate, you overeat, you scroll social media for hours. You avoid the very things that could help you. I'm just being realistic about my flaws. No, you're choosing to listen to a voice that's literally making you sick. Here's what changes everything: wisdom, strength, and love. Wisdom means recognizing that critical voice isn't you. It's separate from your true self. Strength means focusing on what you've actually accomplished, not just your failures. Love means treating yourself with the same compassion you'd give your best friend. Take Ian, basketball player. Had a few bad games. His inner critic told him he wasn't good enough, that he was letting everyone down, that he should quit. But here's what he really needed: to remember why he loved basketball, to give himself permission to make mistakes and learn from them. When he stopped listening to that critical voice and started treating himself with compassion, everything shifted. The game got fun again. His performance improved. Not because he became perfect, but because he stopped demanding perfection. Chapter 3: The Perfection Trap. Perfectionism sounds like a strength, right? I just have high standards. But here's the brutal truth. Perfectionism is anxiety disorder disguised as ambition, and it's killing your happiness. Perfectionists set impossible standards. When they inevitably fall short, they spiral into self-hatred. They avoid challenges because failure isn't an option. They procrastinate because if they can't do it perfectly, why start at all? Research shows perfectionists suffer from higher rates of depression, anxiety, and burnout. They're actually less successful than people with a different approach, excellentism. Excellentism means setting high standards, but accepting that flawless performance is impossible. It's about progress, not perfection. It's about learning from mistakes instead of being destroyed by them. Meet Orlando. He used to stress about hosting gatherings. Everything had to be perfect. Spotless house, gourmet food, flawless execution. Every event was torture because he spent the entire time worried about what wasn't perfect. Then he tried something radical. He identified what perfect looked like and consciously let go of one thing. Maybe the house isn't spotless. Maybe he uses store-bought appetizers. And you know what happened? His guests were more comfortable. He actually enjoyed himself. And the gatherings got better. But I don't want to be mediocre. You won't be. Excellence is the journey. Perfection is the prison. Choose the journey. Chapter 4. The Identity Trap. Quick question. Who are you? Think about your answer. Did you say your job title, your relationship status, your achievements? Here's the problem. If those things define you, what happens when you lose them? This is attachment, and it's keeping you trapped in fear. When your identity depends on external things, your job, your relationship, your possessions, you live in constant anxiety about losing them. Meet Helen. She believed, I am anxious, as if anxiety was her core identity. Every time anxiety showed up, it confirmed her belief. See, I'm an anxious person. This is just who I am. Then she learned one simple trick. Sometimes, thinking. Instead of I am anxious, she said, I feel anxious sometimes. This tiny shift changed everything. She could observe the feeling without becoming it. I am anxious means you are the anxiety. I feel anxious sometimes means you're a person who experiences anxiety. See the difference? One is identity, the other is an experience. This is non-attachment, not about not caring. It's about not defining yourself through external things. You can love your job without being your job. You can value your relationship without being defined by it. Ask yourself, what roles or labels am I clinging to? What would happen if I let them go? Who am I without this title, this achievement, this relationship? It's uncomfortable, but it's also liberating. Now, I know what you're thinking. These concepts sound powerful, but how do I actually apply them to my specific situation? How do I identify what I'm holding on to? How do I practice this dichotomy of control when my boss is driving me crazy? How do I silence my inner critic? That's exactly why I created a practical workbook based on the art of letting go. Because here's the reality. Watching videos can open your eyes, but real change happens when you work through these ideas yourself. The workbook gives you step-by-step exercises. You'll identify exactly what you're holding on to. You'll practice the dichotomy of control in your actual daily situations. You'll learn to silence your specific inner critic with guided prompts. You'll move from perfectionism to excellentism with actionable strategies tailored to your life. Think of it as your personal guide to stop overthinking and start letting go. Whether you're dealing with a toxic relationship, struggling with self-forgiveness, or you can't stop replaying that mistake from 5 years ago, the workbook meets you exactly where you are. Link is in the description. If you're serious about making these changes, instead of just thinking about them, this workbook will be your most valuable tool. Now let's continue. Chapter 5. The Change Trap. Here's where most people quit. Because letting go isn't an intellectual exercise, it's emotional surgery, and it hurts. When you release a grudge, you feel vulnerable. When you forgive someone, it doesn't mean what they did was okay. When you stop chasing perfection, you have to sit with the discomfort of being imperfect, and most people can't handle that discomfort. There's a cycle to every change. First, you're optimistic. I can do this. Then reality hits and you feel pessimistic. This is harder than I thought. Then you hit the valley of despair. This is where 99% of people quit. I knew I couldn't do it. I'm just going back to my old ways. But if you push through that valley, you reach informed optimism. You see progress, you feel hope, and eventually you reach success. But that valley, that's where the real work happens. Most people quit right before the breakthrough. Don't be most people. Chapter 6. Mental Clarity Strategies. Your mind is cluttered. Worries, doubts, tasks, negative self-talk, information overload. It's all creating mental static that makes it impossible to think clearly. Here's your solution: brain dumping. Grab paper and pen, set a timer for 10 minutes, write down everything in your head, every worry, every task, every random thought. Don't edit, don't judge, just empty your mental backpack onto the page. After 10 minutes, look at your list. Ask yourself, what can I actually control here? What truly matters? Pick the 3 most important items. Everything else? That's mental clutter you can release. This simple exercise gives you perspective. Suddenly, you realize most of what's stressing you out isn't even important. And the things that are important, now you can focus on them. But what about those negative scripts running in your head? I'm unlovable, I always mess things up, I'm not good enough. These are what psychologist Albert Ellis called stinking thinking. Here's how to break free. Externalization. Instead of saying, I am anxious, treat anxiety like an external entity. Name it: the worry monster, the jitters, the doom voice. Joan, a college student, struggled with test anxiety. Instead of saying, I'm an anxious person, she called it the jitters. Then she acknowledged how it affected her. The jitters make it hard for me to focus. Then she planned her counterattack. When the jitters show up, I use deep breathing and visualize success. By separating herself from the problem, she gained control. The anxiety didn't disappear, but it stopped running her life. Chapter 7. Breaking Free from Toxic People. Some people are poison. They deflect responsibility. They blame you for everything. They gaslight you into thinking you're the problem, and they're draining your life force. Toxic people cause mental exhaustion, chip away at your self-esteem, manipulate your perception of reality. Studies show people in negative relationships are at higher risk for heart disease. This isn't just emotional damage, it's physical damage. But they're family. But we've been friends forever. But I can't just abandon them. Yes, you can. You must, because staying is choosing their toxicity over your peace. Here's your action plan. First, determine your distance level. Limit contact, deal with them at arm's length, cut off completely. Second, set firm boundaries. You don't owe them explanations. Be clear and concise. I don't think this relationship is healthy for me. Third, prepare for their response. Toxic people will try to manipulate you back in. They'll guilt you, they'll promise to change, they'll make you the villain. Stand firm. Your boundaries aren't negotiable. But I feel guilty. Good. That means you're human. Feel the guilt and set the boundary anyway. Because guilt is temporary. The damage from staying is permanent. Chapter 8. The Forgiveness Paradox. Forgiveness is the hardest part of letting go, because forgiveness doesn't mean what they did was okay. It doesn't mean you reconcile. It doesn't mean you forget. So what does it mean? It means you stop letting that wound run your life. You stop giving them free rent in your head. You choose freedom over the weight of resentment. Research shows people who forgive have better physical health, lower blood pressure, stronger relationships, and less depression and anxiety. Forgiveness isn't about them. It's about you. Here are the 4 Ds. Deep dive into the hurt. Really feel it. Don't minimize it. Decide whether to forgive. This is your choice. Do the work of understanding their perspective, not excusing it, understanding it. Deepen by finding meaning in what happened. How did this change you? What did you learn? Notice you can forgive someone and never speak to them again. Forgiveness and reconciliation are different things. You can forgive without trusting. You can let go without going back. But here's what's even harder: forgiving yourself. The 4 R's. Take responsibility. Own what you did. Feel genuine remorse. Not shame, remorse. Make amends where possible. Commit to renewal. Do better going forward. You can't change the past, but you can change what you do next, and that's where your power lives. Here's the truth nobody wants to hear. Letting go is a choice you make every single day. Every morning, you can choose to carry that grudge or release it, to listen to that critical voice or silence it, to demand perfection or embrace progress. What's one thing you've been gripping so tightly that your hand hurts? What would happen if you opened your fingers just a little and let it rest? You don't have to throw it away. Just hold it more gently. Because the art of letting go isn't about loss. It's about making space. And in that space, that's where you find yourself. That's where you find freedom. That's where you find peace. The workbook is in the description, your roadmap to making this real, to stop thinking about change and actually changing. Don't wait for someday. Someday is the most dangerous word in the dictionary. Start today. Thanks for watching.